Thanks, Megan. I'm Rich Van Boston, the Chief of Police of the United Police Department of Wisconsin, but I'm also the Chairman of the Native American Drug and Gang Initiative. We're a drug task force that we created in Wisconsin comprised of the 9 tribal law enforcement agencies in Wisconsin. And if you look at the map, we're kind of spread across the state. In 2006, as tribal police chiefs, we're getting together and we're talking about the issues that we were facing on our reservations across the state, whether it was drugs or gangs, and many times we're finding out that it was the same people doing it on the different reservations. Just because there's jurisdictional boundaries for us as law enforcement, they didn't recognize that. They were going and doing those things, and we tried to figure out a way to be able to share some of that information in a more convenient manner. So we jumped through the hoops, we put together an application, and in 2007, we became recognized as the 18th Drug Task Force in Wisconsin. What that did for us, it got us some funding, which is about $60,000 a year for the 9 tribes to do training, overtime, equipment, those sorts of things. So when you look at it for 9 agencies, it's not very much. We've also partnered with our local, state, and federal partners, as you see across the bottom there, that help us along the way to make sure that what we're doing it in a way that we're sharing information, we're doing the collaboration, and we're doing the communication. And fortunately in Wisconsin, we have a very good relationship with all of our partners, and we're able to do this successfully.
Good morning. I'm humbled to stand here before you as a representative of the men and women that serve in this task force and the community members that have bonded together to basically face the threats that all of these communities face on a daily basis. We have a disease that is claiming thousands of lives and destroying thousands of families each year. We are facing, as you can see on the left, a large amount of opiate overdoses and addiction. It begins with the prescription medication that makes its way from our cabinets and our medicine chests out onto the street where they sell for $1 to $3 per milligram. Once the opioid addiction has occurred, then heroin moves in. Recently now we are seeing a horrible trend of methamphetamine being mixed with heroin to basically stop the multiple overdoses that are occurring. That's the mentality that we have in the world of the addict. Of course, we are also facing new and improved drugs that are cheap and easily available and destroying lives. Synthetic cannabinoids and synthetic cathinones have been hitting many of the reservations. This drug alone will attack the hypothalamus, causing basically the body core temperature to rocket to 105 degrees. We have seizures followed by death. Our EMS calls, our emergency services are overwhelmed quite often. We are facing also, with any disease, the many things that are attached to it, the many of the symptoms. Drug gangs that are basically influenced from the source cities of Chicago, the Twin Cities, that basically get a hold into the communities, and then they utilize Native American cultural aspects and they cloak them into their own gangs, bringing violence and influence and a steady flow of drugs. The drug trafficking organizations, 2 out of the 5 Mexican cartels have targeted our areas and have come in trying to set up operations. We are also facing the threats of many violence associated with drug distribution. How are we basically facing this? On the right you can see statistics, but statistics will not even begin to reflect what we do. We have a multiple-prong approach to this. The deterrence is basically getting the communities coordinated together and getting education packets out. Since 2012, we have educated well over 10,000 community members, community groups, and fellow law enforcement and EMS on current drug trends, paraphernalia. We've set up hotline numbers for coordinated efforts to identify possible drug sources. We've also provided more information on treatment. The idea is that we were never going to arrest our way out of this. We need the community behind us to help keep those from getting onto the path of addiction and give help to those that are currently on it. The reassurance is brought about by coordinated efforts with every tribal government, hardening the ordinances against any of these analog drugs that can easily flood the streets and cause multiple conflicts and death. Of course, then the attrition, the boots on the ground, the operations where we do community-intensive surveillance operations followed by arrests and search warrants. Of course, this does not stop the problem, but we have to come at it from every angle possible. And in the communication and coordinated efforts, I cannot stress enough that the Native American communities are the last vestige of that community-oriented policing that we once saw when this nation was young. There are so many organizations, of which I have the honor to be here with so many of the folks that have given presentations, that have brought culture and brought history. That strength can bring strength to the community and stop many of our youth from falling prey to a fast and furious lifestyle that they think will bring them respect.
So many times we get asked about whether or not this can be replicated someplace else, and the simple answer to that is yes. We've had some conversations over the years with our friends over in Minnesota, some of the Minnesota tribes, and about half of them have joined on to a similar type of program that we're doing with the Drug Task Force, because what we found was that a non-tribal drug task force is not successful on our reservations. We're able to bring in the resources of our tribal agencies to the reservation as a force multiplier and be able to do those drug and gang investigations in a way that is successful. We also realized that one of the things that we needed to do was, instead of just simply focusing on the drugs and gangs and doing all the law enforcement type of cool and groovy stuff with all the big guns and kicking in doors and all that sort of thing, but we realized that we needed to expand our mission. And what we've been able to do is because we have this network of tribal officers across the state, we have some extremely good subject matter experts that we've done presentations about drug identification, gang identification. We've trained community members as a whole. We've trained entire tribal employee bases. And then we've also started to get into some of the active shooter things with the threat that's out there, the things that have been going on across the country. So we've been able to bring some of that to our tribal communities to make sure that we are achieving our ultimate goal, and that's to provide a safe and secure community that our tribal communities absolutely deserve. So with that, I want to thank the Harbor Project for giving us this opportunity to share our story, to share our program. So thank you all.